Guyanese TikToker accused of drug smuggling. Lodge secondary schools teachers protest threats and gang violence. 3 in custody for $11 million robbery. And Guyanese-style sustainable development. Why we should pursue it. I am Noriko Bulford, and this is Uncut News. Do you see news happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. 23-year-old Guyanese TikToker Lisa Ramnarine will probably be doing her next live from behind bars, as she was arrested on Tuesday following the discovery of over half a kilo of cocaine in a parcel which contained several religious items, including a Havan Kund. The cops made the discovery at the DHL headquarters in Georgetown and followed the sender's info to Ramnarine's address. The drugs were hidden in a compartment within the Kund. Wow, apparently nothing is sacred to people nowadays. Teachers at Lodge Secondary School in Georgetown stopped working today in protest of what they feel was the Education Ministry's failure to act on reports of threats against teachers as well as gang violence. While the teachers complain of some misbehaving students in the school, they emphasize that the primary threat and gross misconduct comes from gangs of young males outside of the school and presumably from the community. They reportedly assault students as they leave school and pelt the teachers as well as the school building with objects from afar. The teachers claim to have even called the police in the past, but the cops seemingly never reach in time. A representative from the ministry has since visited the school and has promised to immediately address the security and behavioral issues there. The police have issued a wanted bulletin for Christian Joseph after he allegedly set a 22-year-old minor and his 30-year-old girlfriend on fire at Peruni Landing, Mazaruni River on Sunday. According to reports, the minor and the suspect were friends. As such, neither Sheldon Henry nor Gracie, the two victims, expected him to douse them with gasoline, an attack that only happened after Gracie intervened in a dispute between Joseph and another unnamed woman at the mining camp, which he referred to her in a very abusive manner. The two are currently in critical condition at the GPHC, while the suspect is still on the run. The cops are currently investigating the death of a 41-year-old security officer, Jermaine Simon. Simon is suspected to have taken his own life after his wife left home to file an assault complaint against him. His body was found in the yard of their home in Kitty, Georgetown. His wife, Rosanna Clark, said she vowed to get the police involved after he beat her severely last night. She said her husband stayed home from work today to prevent her from going to the police. However, she eventually convinced him that she wouldn't go. But when she did return with the cops, they heard one gunshot as they were entering the yard. Now, it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Week. Currently on sale is this 2016 Suzuki Jimmy Sierra 4-wheel drive. It comes with regular and low-range 4-wheel drive, Bluetooth, mag rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamps, back camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $3.4 million, or pay as low as $700,000 down, with around $67,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Peterborough Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamar Street, and tell Noriko sent you for this sweet deal. Early this morning, several businessmen were robbed of over $11 million in cash, jewelry, and electronics during a birthday party on the East Coast. So far, 3 suspects have been arrested and some of the stolen items recovered. Reports are that 4 unmasked gunmen walked through the unlocked back door and robbed everybody of their belongings in the house before escaping in a waiting car. One victim, upon tracking his phone, led police to an abandoned house in Plum Park, Sophia, Greater Georgetown, where they found a bag with some of the stolen objects. The bag was taken in as evidence, and hours later, and acting on information received, the officers busted 3 suspects at a house in North Melanie, East Coast Demerara. They were identified as being 3 of the 4 gunmen. Today, Mark Duman and Abdul Andre Azimula were sentenced to death for the murder of phone card vendor and former teacher Damian Anthony Jagdio, who was fatally shot during a robbery in 2017. The co-accused, Zahir Abdul and Shannon Batson, were sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 35 years. The youngest accused, Satesh Budram, was only sentenced to 17 years in prison since he played a minor role in the crime. It was also noted that the victim knew his killers, including Dumont, who was his former student. Despite signs of a looming significant international economic downturn, Guyana is still expected to nearly double its economic growth this year because of, you guessed it, the oil and gas industry. The World Bank now projects that the nation will record real GDP growth of about 47.9% this year, the highest in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Meanwhile, they projected that the global growth rate this year will be about 2.9%. In the January of this year edition, that growth rate was pegged at 4.1%. For the best crotch in Guyana, wait, that should read, for all size of clutch disc and pressure plates for heavy-duty trucks in Guyana, check out Powered Automotive. Get this and other high-quality truck parts at the lowest prices. Visit them at Lot 1161 EE Eccles, or call them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. Now for today's oil update. For May 2022, Guyana earned profit oil income from the starboard block totaling US $102.5 million. In April, the fund received approximately $21 million in royalties. The figures were extracted from the monthly Natural Resources Fund reports from the Bank of Guyana. Last month, over $200 million was withdrawn from the fund and deposited into our nation's consolidated fund to finance national development priorities, which they have yet to specify. Nevertheless, the closing balance at the end of the month was approximately US $643.98 million. Now for our stupid news of the day. You know what I think is stupid? Expecting the developing world to pay for the ecological sins of the developed. Recently, the president reiterated his position on climate change. He emphasized that the nation will not be blamed or subjected to underdevelopment due to the inaction and planet degradation caused by developed nations. And on this matter, I agree with him 100%. As a nation, we have a fundamental right to equitable development, one that we could actually achieve in a more sustainable manner than any of the developed nations. I mean, think about it. We have a national population about the size of Memphis, Tennessee, occupying a tiny stretch of land on the coast of a piece of land that is the size of England, covered by nearly 90% of forests. While it would be stupid to pursue unrestricted environmental destruction in the pursuit of economic gain, we also can't sit here and pretend like countries like the US, Canada, and even Brazil don't clear-cut whole Guyana-sized swaths of forest every other year. Now, don't quote me on that last stat, but all I'm trying to say is that while Guyana should strive to develop in as much of a sustainable manner as possible, we shouldn't allow ourselves to be guilt-tripped into remaining impoverished just to satisfy the collective consciousness of a few liberals and eco-psychos in the Western world. Because that would be pretty stupid. It might not be robbery season, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, K-9 services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest, now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now for our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Yesterday, I asked, with the uptick in Rona cases, I want to know if we should bring back some of the previous restrictions. Epic Genesis says, I doubt whether the private sector, since they run the country, would appreciate restrictions or would allow it to limit because they want their business and their employees to remain active. More than that, cost of living went up again as recent as 2 weeks ago and yesterday, and the working class could somehow be considered impoverished/survival mode, so restrictions would also have a negative effect on the small man and the hustlers. So before any restrictions are put into place, they should somehow intervene in the financial welfare of the people because the nation can't bear further suffering. That is a very good point you make. Willow Darrow says maybe they should have not lifted the curfew, but I think they should at least restrict the openings and servings of alcohol back, so drunks will not be up in each other's faces and possibly get infected with COVID just to take it home and spread it. I didn't even think about it that way, but you're absolutely right. Mark Watson says people need to live their lives and the government should stop telling citizens about the demonic corona. I understand these sentiments. NRC View Farm shares similar ones, saying it's the new normal to live with it and its variants. The government should consider distributing more home testing kits to households. Well, that's a very good idea. I like that. And finally, I see many viewers actually had several comments about Switzerland and their style of governance, the federal style. I see the biggest concern was regarding the possibility for corruption to still take place. However, I generally believe that such a system may help us to crack down on such corruption in our nation, which I will be sure to explain further in a subsequent episode. So, before we get to tonight's question, you can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Today, 2 men were handed a death sentence. With that being said, I want to know, do you support the death penalty in today's Guyana? Why or why not? I want you to think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks.